Hi guys! I'm Tim.
And I'm Em.
And together we're
Tim and Em.
So on last episode, we talked about the drive coming over here from LA to LA. And on today's episodes, we wanted to talk about our first living experience that we had when we got out here.
It's a doozy.
It's a bit of a it's a whole story. It's a whole story.
Yep. So, yeah. We just want to preface it by saying that there's a lot to cover. First things first, if you don't know what to do to take the first step to move to LA, obviously there was a lot of research that went into this to try to find, it's really hard to try to find an apartment that you want to commit to a lease when you have no way. We're in Louisiana, going to Los Angeles, LA to LA, and when you don't have a way to do apartment tours and you're only relying on pictures and what people are saying online, it's really hard because you're like, okay, I have to trust what they're saying. I have to kind of use my gut instinct a little bit. It was hard too because Tim lived in New Orleans and I was more so on what they call the North Shore region. So long story short, we couldn't be together every night looking up where would we want to live. So he kind of thankfully trusted me to kind of take over that part.
I mean, honestly, thankfully, you had the good know-how in how to figure it all out. I mean, it helped first to actually be in the area at all, and you got the chance to do that the year before. So
yeah, this is true. I forgot about that.
That really helped out.
We did. Well, you have moved around a lot. So he's been in California before. He's lived in California, but not LA.
To be specific, it was Northern California. It was Sacramento area, not so much the southern sort of area. And then when you count that, it's hundreds of miles separate. It's really not even close to the same. You can't count it.
But you at least got the experience of living in California. I had only ever lived in Louisiana. I've never traveled outside of the country. He has family in Germany. So it's just I was the least cultured of the two of us. So the most that I did was in 2018, I visited LA for a week to check out Los Angeles, see if it's a place I could really see myself. And anyway, from there, I've just planned a lot of vacations in my life. So I felt comfortable looking for the apartment and things like that. So long story short, apartments.com, hotpads.com, realtor.com.
I hope you're writing this down.
Yes. Take notes. Those were all really helpful. Don't ever rely on Craigslist for anything. I think that was really it. Apartments.com. We ended up finding a sublet for a month. There were these two girls, lovely, lovely girls. Thank you again. We did get permission from them, by the way, to talk about things that went on.
And it was a rental situation. It was 2 full baths and 1 half bath, if you count it that way. That's the way we're looking at it.
Patio, it was gorgeous.
The location was amazing. It was right there in Studio City. It was perfect, right off the main drag. You have everything right around you.
Which is where, and I wanted to be close to Millennium Dance Complex.
And covered parking.
Parking. But I don't think I knew that. I didn't know that at the time. Right?
Probably, I guess not. Yeah, because when we drove up, I remember you being really excited all of a sudden.
Yeah, because she mostly said street parking.
Because that was what was mostly available was the street parking that was there. They had their car that I think they left somewhere else, or they took it with them, or something along those lines. Whatever it was, there was a car space available for us to use anyway inside the parking garage. But then outside of that, we actually both ended up leaving our cars in the garage, as a matter of fact. It worked out that way.
Yeah, it was tandem parking.
So we were able to park ours in front of each other, and it was always just hey, I have to leave. Can you move your car real fast? And it takes 2 seconds to ask and then 5 minutes to move it. Yeah. So it was never any kind of big deal.
Or in my case, I would be sleeping, and he would just go move my car because I wouldn't wake up.
And either way, I mean, whatever works. Maybe adds another 5 minutes on there, but it's fine.
But yeah. So the sublet was for a month. We said that in a previous video, but we didn't say that in this one. It was for a month. So these girls were going to be in France. They were on the last leg of their trip. We were going to rent out the master bedroom and bathroom because they were a couple together, so they lived there. And then each of the guys, Kevin and John, had their own rooms, and then they shared a bathroom. And yeah, so that gave us a month to really hit the ground running, know that we need to find a permanent lease. Like, we didn't want to be dragging around. Not that we thought that we would do that, but we definitely wanted to have a reason that we were like staying motivated and doing what we came here to do. So we needed to find jobs. We
True.
had a month to do that,
Yep.
and we had a month to find a permanent lease. End of story. So yeah, so then we make this trek, get here. It's gorgeous. It's a really nice neighborhood. And then we see Kevin and we're like, holy hell, that's some good looking stuff. I'll give you an image, kind of like, he hates that.
You're gonna make a comparison.
Kind of like Captain America. So naturally, we're both like,
Hey there. How are you doing? I'm sorry. Nice to meet you. We just drove in.
but we didn't know his orientation. So we were like,
It was very much a game of a book I read back in
and
high
we
school.
were like, okay, Tim, what are we going to do?
So is he or isn't he, do you think? I mean, like, what are we working with here?
and I stayed up
What, like 3 nights in a row?
pretty much 3 nights in a row with this person trying to figure out, like, what's his thing? Is he weird?
I remember you
know?
coming up in the next morning almost, like waking
5.
up and going, wait, were you downstairs all night?
And I was like,
Why? What were you even doing? But it was
Talking,
conversation.
chatting,
It was just
having a
getting to
good
know each
time.
other. And that's great. It's fine.
and within a week, we smashed.
It being someone you're living with, I was very much adamant about, maybe put the brakes on it. Maybe don't
No,
do
we
that
didn't
necessarily.
talk about that yet, did we?
I feel like we had that conversation.
And
But
wait,
maybe
let's-
it didn't. Maybe it never came up organically, so we just never talked about it. But I feel like me as a person, I'm very much like you shouldn't sleep with someone you're like living with because like then if things get complicated and iffy and
But
everything.
isn't it more convenient when they're
Well, sure.
right across the hall from you?
Although, and no one's arguing that point.
Sneak in the middle of the night.
And it worked out great. You guys were really into each other. It was a great time for a minute.
But along the way, there were some things that happened.
So first thing first, when we first moved into the place, we noticed that there was like, it hadn't really taken a good vacuum. It hadn't
Oh, yeah,
had a
it
good
needed to be
sweeping
cleaned.
or like a good, like mop down. And there were
Mind
dishes in
you-
the sink left over that were like from at least a week before that were in the sink at the moment when we walked in.
But wait, these girls were very accommodating. It wasn't anything they had control over because they had been gone for 6 months.
So they weren't even a
we
part
were
of it.
coming in on their 6th month in France. They had no clue what was going
So
on.
it was
so
up to
it's not
these
like
two
they
guys
knew.
that had been living there, and they just weren't
Pretty
really
much.
taking much care of it, unfortunately.
As guys do.
Yeah, that's why we're using fake names, not trying to talk bad about anyone.
Yeah.
It happened as it happened, but this is the reality of the situation, and it was not great.
And it got worse.
Like
over
really
time.
bad. We
Now-
kept up with our stuff every
Yeah.
time. We brought dishes with us and stuff too, but we used theirs at the time. But we made sure to reuse the same ones and rewash the same ones we were using.
Mm-hmm.
And still things piled up onto the countertops. Like it was bad. It was
I'm not
really
going to insert
bad.
pictures. I wish I could.
Oh, if like we still have them though, right? Like they're still
I'm pretty sure that we still have pictures. Yeah, it was bad. The oven was coated and stuff. It needed to be vacuumed. I couldn't get over the amount of dust and crumbs. The poor cat, one of them had a cat and the other one was expected to take care of it. The girls know obviously
Yeah,
now
they've
all
been
the
back
stuff that went
since
on.
this has all been resolved since then. This
Yeah.
is just as we remember it from this about a year ago now. So
Oh my
almost
God.
a year ago.
May 4th.
Isn't that nice?
May the 4th be with you.
That's so exciting.
But anyway, the girls were really very nice. They had no idea. They had no way of knowing. Obviously, they're all the way in France, and it was going to be another month or so before they got home. But
Right.
yeah, so as the mess started, this is kind of funny. As the mess started to physically pile up, the emotional, sexual mess also started to pile up. Meanwhile, Tim's out and about. We would go like do apartment tours here and there, but and then we would have a few days where we would like go try to actively find jobs. Most places were telling us to go online.
A lot of them
you
were
don't
like
even
apply
have
online
to.
or whatever, but it still was a week or so and a week or so before we even found anything out. On the job front, though, we actually both got really lucky with that. I found the very first, like one of the first couple of days, maybe like the second or possibly third even day that we took to like walk up and down Ventura Boulevard to find a job. I found one.
Don't mind my mountain goat back here.
Excuse her while she climbs.
That's Lucy.
But no, I ended up finding a job really easily. Just kind of walked in, and they had just recently let their other guy go that had worked there, and it was with a clothing store that happened to only have a bunch of girls working there, and they needed one kind of male associate to be there. And you know me, retail, every stage of it, let's do it. So it worked out really good. They all, our personalities clicked really well too. So it was an awesome experience for that. And then with you, with the freaking film school initially getting started with, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so lucky to find within that first month.
Yeah, definitely. So I had a couple interviews here and there. I was actually supposed to get started at a hotel. I actually accepted a job. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I won't say where, but yeah. And then I went to this school, and I was like, I think it's more money. It was already like $4 an hour more.
There you go, yeah.
We didn't know where we were going to be living next, but we had an idea. Like, I knew that I wanted to stay in the Studio City, Sherman Oaks area because it was safe. It's more affordable. We had good things going on with jobs and looking for apartments.
Right, so everything was going really well.
Yeah.
Then on the side, this whole emotional thing that became after the messes compiled into more and more.
Kevin was more intricate than I thought. And then something terrible happened. If you're a girl and you've ever been through a UTI, I'll say it again, a UTI, I had never experienced this. And it's the worst. We don't need to explain how I got the UTI, but just know.
Details aren't important. It's just always be careful, be safe. And if you're not sure, Google something because you never know sometimes. And it's really on the guys more than anything else because girls are taught this stuff. They know this stuff from their family. They don't need to learn this stuff unless they need to. You know what I mean? Guys mostly. We are not initially taught stuff about the female sex when it comes to the reproductive organs and things like that. That stuff needs to be, I advocate for that crap. There needs to be more education about that because it's basic common sense when you think about like how
yeah, but something happened and it led to a UTI, and then it was disastrous. The amount of pain, like, I was in tears. I was crying to him. I was like, Tim, I don't even think I can drive to an urgent care right now. Like, can you drive me? But wait, we were already out and about when it happened, remember? And we came all the way home. And then, well, back to the sublet. And then after like 30 minutes, I was like, this pain, this isn't normal. I'm on the phone with my mom, sending her pictures of my stool. Because you feel.
Pause. For those who don't know, her mom is a practicing nurse, doctor.
Well, she's a respiratory therapist.
She knows about a lot of stuff when it comes to that. So she's a good reference point.
She works with gynecologists, obviously, because babies. But yeah.
But that's why she was sending her pictures.
Like, sending her pictures. Yeah, I'm not
Mom,
weird.
help me. It was
Norman Bates relationship. But I'm like, Mom, my stool, like, look at how much blood. And I told Kevin, because, see, the problem with having sex with someone that you live with is they are going to start to expect it. So word of advice, make sure it's very clear from the start that this is just kind of it's either A, hit it and quit it, or B, you both know it's as needed, which we knew it was going to be as needed. But when the other person needs it much more than you do.
It needs to be more clearly defined at that point that, like, hey, listen, I have a max of so many times or whatever. You know what I mean? Just a baseline thing to let them know that, like, don't come to me, I will come to you, sort of a situation if it needs to come to that or however. Right. You know what I mean? But he was weird when it came to communication anyway. Like... What do you mean by what did you just said? What do you mean? And never getting much of a clarification is being like, sure thing, buddy. Let me wash your dishes real quick because clearly you're not fucking doing
yeah,
them.
Let's go back to that. Yeah. It's
But
like, let me hit it from the front. Let me hit it from the back. Let me hit it in front of the window and then clean my dishes. And it was like, I'm kind of getting tired of this. And now I have a UTI. So, no, we're not ever doing this again, and that's that. And then when I told him, he was just like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Well, let me know when you're better, because never again.
Like, can you believe this guy? I mean, I was livid.
Tim was very upset at me.
I wasn't upset at you necessarily as much. I mean, because initially
like,
you jumped on it. I did warn you. It was a very obvious I told you so moment. And I rubbed it in your face only a little bit. I could have done it more, but I'm not trying to because it's not there's no point. It's a moot point. Mistakes were made and it happened, but we moved on. We've done better since.
Yes, now I just have cobwebs instead of heat. Cobwebs. Well, anyway, so at the end of all of this, after all of our pains and troubles with
the end of the month was coming. The end of the month was drawing near.
And we had gotten jobs, but we had not secured an apartment because so many places require you to be approved.
Mm-hmm. And it took like at least a while for the approval process to go through. I remember it being at least like a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. Like it was really nuts.
Well, and then we had to prove that we had income that we didn't have. So it was like we had to get our savings account information, and we were going to have to get at least one of our parents to co-sign on a lease, but then it would require their tax information and W-2s from the last couple of jobs.
It was like a lot of extra information.
Yeah.
Like it just did not make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff on top of the other stuff. I mean, one thing is one thing, but it became so much.
Yeah.
We did end up finding a place that luckily like took the amount that we had because it asked for my savings account and was like, sure, this is how much I have. And it was like, sure, you're approved. I was like, okay.
It was basically like,
great. No questions asked.
Yeah. We're not going to say where we're at, but it was like the first month's rent, part of a deposit, tip. If you're moving to LA, if you have a pet, like this kumquat, she's my kumquat. I know it's ridiculous, but if you register your dog as an ESA animal, you literally just pay $100 for an entire year. It's a psychologist back home that will be assigned to you. Well, this is real. I don't know why I'm putting quotes. This is real. You literally just pay $100 for the entire year, and then
the dog is registered as
she's registered as an emotional support animal, so then you don't have to pay extra when you're flying with them.
Which, like, why would you?
Storage.
Stupid.
And then you don't have to pay pet rent or a pet deposit. So that saved me a lot of money. Yeah, so we found an apartment. Well, no, we didn't find an apartment. So this apartment was pet friendly. It didn't require you to prove a certain amount of income, all this other stuff.
Well, no, it did. I remember it. Our place checked my.
But we didn't have to say that we had that we were currently working in California with the last two.
Oh yeah, it didn't require
we didn't have
all
to
that.
do all that.
Because like I said, other places required a whole lot. It included like check stubs from like several months, at least proof that you've been here or whatever. Like, hello, we just moved here.
Right.
We said that from the get go. Like, why are you requesting this weird information that we couldn't possibly have? Like, hello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was weird.
Hello.
Hello.
So anyway, yeah, but we were panicking because we were like, we still need a little bit more time. So, and the girls found out they were going to be out there a little bit longer. So in an effort to extend our time a little bit.
And make it a bit, equal in that sense. We went ahead and sent the pictures of the place and the state of it.
In its current state.
To them and said, listen,
we'll
when we moved in, this is what we've seen. They agreed. They allowed us to stay a little bit longer in exchange for cleaning the apartment a little bit more than it had been before. So we deep cleaned it. We scrubbed the entirety. I mean, we'd already cleaned the master bedroom at least once or twice that we had moved in because we were, we leave stuff behind. Because the guy
lived there before us.
And we clean up after ourselves normally anyway. But there was dirt and stuff left over from the previous tenant who had been there for like however many months, I guess. Also doing a sublet situation that had just left it even messier. So we cleaned up after this dude on top of the other mess that was there before, on top of our mess, and then went down the stairs and cleaned every inch of that whole place from top to bottom to make sure it was like spick and span by the time they got back. And it was a lot of work,
in exchange for an extra week.
And it was great. It was perfect. It worked out for them. It worked out for us.
Because wasn't going to be ready. Remember that?
Exactly.
It wasn't going to be ready for an additional week. So that's why
this was a newer unit
about.
or some shit like that. It's also got construction going on outside, which they've actually recently completed because it's been a year since we moved in.
Well, it's almost complete.
And yeah, so we got it on a cheaper discount than anything else. This just worked out so much in our favor. Like, we got the extra week at the perfect time when we need it. All we had to do was just a little bit of extra housework.
Sources.
It was reliable. Like, getting out here, getting to this place in particular, having this whole situation and on a discount too. Like, it worked out in our favor. If you can take it, honestly, the noise is not that much extra to deal with. If there's construction going on in the apartment complex and they're offering you a discount, I would consider it.
Yeah, especially if you work all day. Like, I was working all day Monday through Friday.
You don't hear it. You're not there the entire time. Maybe if your dog or whatever is like, it's an issue potentially, that's something to consider. But like, for us, it was no problem whatsoever. Yep. Lucy didn't even like bother much with the noise and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say consider it 100%. If you're looking out to places like that, it's worth it. I mean, the discount alone saves you money that you can then use later. So
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I think that's everything.
Do your research for sure.
Yeah.
Use the websites that Emily mentioned at the beginning of the video because they are very useful when it comes to trying to find a place. And trust a sublet, give your chances. You never know, roll the dice sometimes. Do what you can to double check your resources and stuff. I mean, you have a lot at your disposal when it comes to the internet. So like, Emily was able to look up the girls when we were moving out to the sublet and everything.
Instagram. Thank you for saying that.
She got to like know them really closely
we emailed
before
back
we
and
even
forth
got there.
Like crazy. So, she gave me like all these booklets about California and things to check out and where you should live. I didn't even ask.
There's people out there that will give this kind of information willingly, and there are ones that are going to withhold this information or be like iffy and only give so much. You know when to cut the ties. If someone's being iffy or sketchy or whatever, just cut the ties immediately, because in those kind of situations, especially when you're putting money out there to guarantee and secure a place before you've even seen the place, you can't take any risks. So especially in this day and age where we have the internet and everything, use it all at your disposal. Look people up, figure that stuff out, talk to them as much as you can, get an email contact, and if they're like responsive and good about it and everything and 100% so far, and their references are not questionable too. Having an Instagram, having taggable people that you can see, that you can look up and go, these are real people that she's interacting with. They're able to actually follow the receipts because they have Instagram posts or Facebook posts or Yelp reviews, even something to go off of. Trust it.
Absolutely. I think that's great. And if you want if you have more questions or you want more tips about
send us a message, leave a comment at any time.
Cost of living,
Emily is
that,
great with this kind of info. She'll jump on it for sure. I will help out any way I can if I can at all, but Emily's the one that I trust with when it comes to money. I love you.
Love you. Well, no, I mean, we're both paying money, but like...
No, obviously. But
I just do a lot of research about things.
And that's what I trust the most, is that you do your research and you know what you're like bringing to the table 100%, which I really appreciate.
And I'll be quick to make a deal. Let's make a deal is my lifestyle. So yeah, anyway, love you guys. Thanks. Please like,
subscribe, follow,
comment if you feel like it, ask questions. And tune in for the next episode, which is going to be the salsa dancing one.
Oh yeah, our first time out in LA.
Interesting experience.
These are our stories from LA to LA. I'm Tim.
And I'm M.
And together we're
Tim and
M. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great time.